Welcome to the Nerd Party.
It's not working.
Well, how long since you've cleaned the heads?
The what?
The heads. Do you have any alcohol?
To drink?
What? No, to clean it. Check the tracking.
The rental place closes in 2 hours.
Shut up. It's working.
Time for a retro perspective.
Hello and welcome to Retro Perspective, the show on the Nerd Party where we take a look at all of the movies released 25 years ago this week. I'm Mike.
I'm the ghost of Del Griffith, and happy Thanksgiving.
And is that from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
Darn tootin'.
I just saw that movie for the first time last week.
For the first time?
Yeah.
No kidding. Don't damage my heart and tell me you didn't like it.
No, it was fine.
Oh, it's more than fine.
No, I mean, it was funny. It was weird, though. I mean, because like the reason why they were showing it was because it was edited by Paul Hirsch, and he's got like a new book.
Yeah.
Out, so he was doing like a signing and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. And so he was talking about it, and it was weird because they were saying like, oh, it was him and John Hughes' son up there. And, you know, at first, you know, they give a little introduction and they're like, how long was the first cut of this movie? And he's like, oh, it was 2 hours and 45 minutes long, or
wow.
3 hours and 45 minutes long, something like that. It might have been 3 hours and 45 minutes. And, you know, he's like, we had to cut a lot of stuff. We had to get it down, you know, blah, blah, blah. And there were scenes in there where I was like, oh, clearly something was cut out here. You know, oh, there's definitely something missing here, you know, and on some of them it made sense. Like there's the scene where they're in bed together and he's like, sorry about the beer, you know, and he's like, well, what did you think was going to happen?
Yep.
That was actually a scene which was shot, you know, and they're like, we didn't need it. You know, it's funny just to hear them say it. And I agree with that.
Yes.
But like the scene right before that where like Steve Martin's taking a shower and then he comes out of the shower and like the bathroom is trashed.
Yes.
Like there was a whole bunch of stuff where like John Candy was in the bathroom like flossing and stuff like that. And then, you know, the gag is he comes out of the bathroom, or he comes out of the shower and finds the bathroom trashed.
Yeah.
But like, how would he not know that the bathroom was trashed if he was just taking a shower and John Candy wasn't in the room?
I never cared, but I always sort of rationalized it that like maybe when he first got in the shower, John Candy was, you know, he was like, oh, I'm just going to duck in for a second, you know, sort of thing. You know, didn't matter.
And if they would
to
have
me.
left that in, you know, and then also another thing, like in that scene, the guy who steals their money.
Yes.
Like he was a pizza delivery guy who came in. But like he says, like in the first cut, that scene in the hotel room was originally 40 minutes long.
Yeah, which is entirely too long.
Yeah, yeah. He said he told a story about how they watched the first hour and a half of the movie and then the first cut, you know, him and John Hughes, they watched the first hour and a half of the movie. They went to lunch. They came back, watched the second hour and a half of the movie, and it ended. And John Hughes turned to him and said, "It's too long." It's like, yeah. It's good. Anyway.
Soul of comedy is keep it brief, right?
Yep.
Keep it short, keep it simple. Yeah,
so
no,
whatever. It was fine. But, you know, everyone's like, it's the best Christmas or Thanksgiving movie ever. And it's not. Contagion is the best, followed by Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
Okay, first and foremost, no, Zack and Miri is a garbage movie, and I will die on that hill. Okay?
No, that's really good.
No.
It's
No, it isn't.
inspirational.
No, not in the least. Okay. It is not. No, Zack and Miri, no. I've never seen Contagion, but I know it's a Soderbergh movie, so there's a handicap coming in on that one, right? Is it actually set on Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Okay.
Over the Thanksgiving holiday. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, that would make sense because if you're talking about disease vectors, Thanksgiving with all of the travel would be disastrous for everything. So, yeah.
Right.
No, I still have to see that, and I haven't. But, yeah, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, come on, man. Like,
it's good.
I watch it once a year, every year. Like, it's like It's a Wonderful Life where, yeah, I'm sure I could go at it with like a fine-tooth comb or whatever. But that emotional shot of adrenaline that it gives you, that happy, great feeling at the end, like it's so it's so worth it. Like every single time, like it's such a life affirming sort of movie. Like I adore it. And I know there was also something cut that I never knew about for a long time. There was always this hint of a black eye that John Candy has when they get the truck from the police station after their car's been impounded because, you know, they got pulled over by Michael McKean. Mm-hmm. And apparently there was a whole thing cut where Del Griffith got out of the car, started harassing Michael McKean, and Michael McKean punched him in the face and gave him a black eye. And then they go to the police station. There's more with Michael McKean. And then Del comes out and he's like, oh, you know, I got the thing. But that all got cut so that it's just, you know, cut to the police station and then they get in the truck. I think it just flows so much better that way.
He said a lot of that stuff was lost. He also said, and he went into pretty great detail about how the ending was completely changed after the fact.
Good.
Because originally, like, they go and they get on the, you know, Steve Martin gets on the train, the L train, to go home.
Oh, yeah.
And then he gets off of the train and John Candy is there in the suburbs. John Candy beat him to the train station. Mm-hmm. And that scene that they have where he goes back, like that scene originally was supposed to take place at the train station in the suburbs.
Yeah.
And then John Candy gives like a 4-minute monologue about his wife. And then Steve Martin says, okay, and takes him home. But they were like, this isn't working because, you know, it seems like John Candy is begging to be taken home or whatever. And then also like Steve Martin doesn't like come to the realization on his own, you know, that sort of thing. So they repurposed the footage. They didn't reshoot anything, but they repurposed the footage which was used in order to make it look like Steve Martin was coming back.
Which leads to a beautiful film flub because they just reversed the film of the train, and so the train's coming back in on the wrong track.
Yeah.
And Steve Martin's hair is actually flipped when he gets off of the train. But you don't care because it's in the moment and it works really well. So it's just like, you know, mistakes like that, you just look past them, right? Because it's like on Mustafar when Anakin and Obi-Wan are fighting and, you know, they have the cut back and forth of Anakin choking Obi-Wan and Obi-Wan's got, you know, a saber in his hand. And then it like switches to Anakin's saber, then it switches back to Obi-Wan's saber. It's like a little editing flub, which you think would have been taken care of in a special edition thing or whatever. But it's because originally, like it was, you know, break free, get the other saber, knock Anakin's saber out, and they were like, this is taking too long, so they cut it down. So, and they were like, it's fast enough, whatever. And it is, and it's just, you know, film is just about moving it as quick as you can, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Come for the 1994 discussion. Stay for the planes, trains, and automobiles talk. You're welcome, everyone.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, all right. So let's talk about November of 1994.
November 1994, when they thought all of the awards winners were going to be released.
Yeah. We'll get to see some of those. Starting with November 11th, there were 2 movies which came out.
Mm-hmm.
First up, number 2 at the box office with $23.4 million and 74% positive on Rotten Tomatoes, The Santa Claus.
Yes.
Starring Tim Allen.
Tim Allen's big break from TV to film. This was his stepping stone to stardom.
Yes. Did you see this when it first came out?
No, didn't see it till many years later.
Yeah, I didn't see it when it first came out either, even though I did contribute to the box office for this movie.
Because you bought a ticket for the Santa Claus and snuck in an interview with a vampire?
No. I went to see Star Trek Generations on opening night with the Science Fiction Fantasy Club from school. And I vividly remember us getting to the front of the line and one of the kids saying, 13 tickets to Star Trek Generations, and gave them our money. They got the tickets. And then we're like, okay, theater number 2. And we go over to theater number 2 and it's like empty. And we're like, what's going on? And we realized that was for the Santa Claus. They had punched up tickets for the Santa Claus for all of us.
Oh, no.
So then, yeah, we ran into some projectionist, and he's like, just go to the other theater. So we all just went to see Star Trek Generations, but our box office went to the Santa Claus. And that's
So
13 tickets.
You
know?
helped make Tim Allen a star.
Yeah.
Well done, Mike. Well done.
That's not, yeah. Anyway, so I didn't see the movie until just now. I watched it in 4K on Disney Plus.
There you go.
It's like the third thing that I watched on Disney Plus.
That 1994 gristmill CG from Disney movies really holds up well in that 4K HDR, doesn't it?
Yeah, the transfer actually was really good. It was a lot better than most of these transfers
I agree,
that we
actually.
get.
Yeah, I agree, actually.
But yeah, did you watch it for this?
Of course. I watch it once a year, every year.
The Santa Claus?
I do.
Okay. So you watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles for Thanksgiving, and then
Correct.
the Santa Claus for Christmas?
Yeah, Santa Claus is in rotation. It's not every single year because there are so many Christmas movies that one must get to over time that it's sort of like, if you average it out, I read the book Dracula by Bram Stoker. If you average it out, like quote unquote every year, but in reality, it's like every other year sort of thing. But it's just, it might as well be every year, sort of.
Okay. All right. So then what do you think about the Santa Claus?
I think it's charming. I think it's cute. I think that it's a fun little Disney movie. It's a fun movie to watch with your kids, and it's really interesting just in terms of through the prism of how sort of like the family drama is shifting around this time, like with Mrs. Doubtfire and everything, dealing with the idea of the split family. And so, it's sort of a re-examination of the role of the father in a changing world in a lot of ways. And I know that seems like an awfully deep read for the Santa Claus, but it's right there in that as the zeitgeist is changing. What did you think of it with your first viewing?
I was looking forward to it because I had never seen it, and I love Christmas movies and everything. But it didn't work for me. I thought the premise was kind of ridiculous. I mean, I understand.
It's about Santa Claus, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But,
Just
the idea of like, oh, we're going to figure out how to make this work. And that's the way they figured out how to make it work. It didn't work. I didn't think it was very funny. There was just nothing about it that hooked me. And, I didn't like it.
I'm sorry to hear that because I do like it. I did like it. I do like it. I think it's fun.
Okay.
I do. And I think Tim Allen is funny too. And I even think that, Judge Reinhold is funny. I think the whole supporting cast is cute. Yeah. And, get a kick out of it. The sequels are garbage, but this one's cute. This one's good.
When I was a projectionist, we got what was Santa Claus 2 is...
The Mrs. Claus.
And then Santa Claus 3 is the Escape Claus.
With Martin Short as Jack Frost.
Okay. So so we got a teaser trailer for Santa Claus 2 really, really early, and it was for Santa Claus 2, The Escape Clause. And that movie, it was delayed. It was before they even started shooting it, and it was delayed and delayed and delayed for years. And then when it finally came out, it had a different title and everything. But there were trailers out there for Santa Claus 2 years before the thing was even shot with a different title.
The Revenge of the Jedi of the Santa Claus trilogy.
Yeah. And also the can for Santa Claus 2, I believe, when it finally did come out, was the film can had a note to projectionist stuck inside for Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which we were able to peel out and is now framed and hanging on my wall.
So they had just reused the can.
Yep.
And you were like, oh yeah, this note is a great collectible.
Yeah, 23 years later or whatever.
Cool.
We found it. Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah. Anyway, so there was one more movie which came out on November 11th, and it was number one at the box office with $46.1 million. So twice as much as the Santa Claus.
Yes.
And 62% positive on Rotten Tomatoes. Interview with the Vampire Chronicles.
Which I swear to you, I do not remember the Vampire Chronicles being on the title card when it first
It
came out.
might not be. I'm not sure. Did you watch it?
Yeah, I rewatched it for this. I saw it in the movie theater. I was a fan of the books just like everybody else on the planet.
So was the Vampire Chronicles on there when you watched it this time around?
Yes. When I watched the home copy this time, yes, the Vampire Chronicles was on it. And
I'm sure that it was there before, because there's no way that they would, put that there as if to say there's going to be other ones once it was on home video, if it wasn't that way originally in theaters.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
I don't know about that. But
All right.
it doesn't matter either way, because it was supposed to be the launching of a franchise, and it was, you had your hot new star, Brad Pitt, had your hot established star, Tom Cruise, by a director who was making a real name for himself, and, Kirsten Dunst in a breakthrough performance. Like, this is what put her on the radar and everything like that.
Yeah.
Did you see it when it came out?
No, I saw it maybe about 10 years later. And I was really looking forward to it because of Neil Jordan and all that stuff. But in the end, I did not like it at all. So instead of revisiting it this time around, I opted for the Santa Claus. But yeah, what do you think about it?
Well, rewatching it, I remember at the time thinking it was good but not great, and thinking, that it's inescapable when you've just read the book, because the adaptation is coming out. At the time, everybody was caught up in, oh, well, this was different and that was different and this was different and that was different. And this time, it's been so long since I've either seen it or read it. I was like, okay, I'll come at this fresh. But there are so many things that are affected and questionably staged and don't flow very well. And it's a shame, because there's a lot of great photography. There's some good music. Although what's interesting about the music is that the music is actually sort of sounds at points like Batman Forever. Which,
was it Elliot Goldenthal?
Why, sure it was.
Yeah.
It was. It's sort of like recognizing a James Horner score, where you're like, oh, yeah, okay, that's the type of cue he's going to use later on, too.
There's like parts where like people are just randomly dropping pieces of metal.
No, this was that sort of like little horn flare, that thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fine, to borrow your way of sort of like throwing a backhanded compliment at something, but it's not particularly engaging. Brad Pitt's performance as Louis is very affected, and Christian Slater was brought in because it was supposed to be River Phoenix who played his part. River Phoenix, obviously being dead, wasn't able to play the part, and Christian Slater just doesn't work particularly well in the framing device, which is, Louis giving this interview and everything like that. And it's just overall clunky and not really, if anything, it exposes a lot of the shortcomings of Anne Rice's story as opposed to enhancing them. And also, I'll never forget, she took out that full page ad blasting them for casting Tom Cruise as Lestat. And,
That's smart.
Well, and then all of a sudden, it was about to be released. Oh, I take it all back. It turned out perfectly. It was wonderful. And he's okay, but this is still in that era where Tom Cruise is still trying to find his footing as the well-respected actor as opposed to the box office actor. And so I don't think the part fits him particularly well. He does a couple of scenes really well, but overall, it's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so for the week, I think we would both agree, probably, I don't know, that the Santa Claus is the way to go.
I definitely think the Santa Claus is the way to go.
Okay. So next week, we had a Wednesday opening on November 16th, coming in at number 14 at the box office with $80,000 and a 92% positive on Rotten Tomatoes. Heavenly Creatures,
Yes,
directed by Peter Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
starring Kate Winslet, and I think probably her first big role.
Yeah.
Have you seen this?
I have not.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
It looks cool, kind of a horror-ish type of movie. Peter Jackson. I'm not the biggest fan of Peter Jackson in the world. Not that I think that he's bad or anything like that, but I'm not someone who's going to rush out to see every single Peter Jackson movie, blindly.
Same.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So has he made a movie since The Hobbit? Oh yeah, he did They Shall Not Grow Old. I forgot about that.
And that was a superb film. They Shall Not
Yeah.
Grow Old. It was
They're
wonderful.
bringing that back to theaters next month.
Oh, I would love to see that in the theater. Oh my gosh, would I love to see that in the theater.
It's strange, because he had that come out as like a 2-day whatever Fathom event thing, and then at the same time he was producing and writing Mortal Engines, which was supposed to be like the next Hunger Games or whatever.
Yeah.
And that movie bombed at the box office so bad that They Shall Not Grow Old actually made more money than Mortal Engines did. So,
I wish that They Shall Not Grow Old made more money just on virtue of the fact that it's such an excellent film and does such a tremendous job of humanizing and contextualizing World War I.
yeah.
It's sort of a war that's not really talked about anymore.
Yeah. I missed it the first time around, but I might try to catch it this time. If I can find it in 3D. I think that's the key.
I would actually like to see it in 3D because I know they went to great effort for that.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So on November 18th, later on that week, there were 5 movies that came out.
Yeah.
First up, I don't know how much money it made. I don't know where it ranked in the box office, but it was 43% positive on Rotten Tomatoes. So the least well-received movie of the week, Pontiac Moon.
Yeah.
Starring Ted Danson.
Yep.
Have you seen this?
No, I got burned on a Ted Danson movie earlier this year. So, you know what? I've learned over the months, burn me once, shame on you. Burn me twice, shame on me. Hard pass.
Yeah, I watched the trailer, and it like takes place like right around the time of the moon landing.
Yep.
And like this guy takes his kid, and they're going to go driving to like some random place called like Moon Tower or something, because they figure it out so that the mileage on their Pontiac will match the mileage on the spaceship going to the moon.
Yeah.
So they'll hit that at the same time, but there's like a whole thing. I mean, it looked really bad.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But number 11 at the box office with $3.2 million and 55% positive on Rotten Tomatoes, The Swan Princess. Have you seen this?
No, because I watched Thumbelina earlier this year, and I didn't want to watch The Swan Princess.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
No.
We know.
Again, I'm applying lessons learned at this late stage in the game.
Yeah. Okay, number 7 at the box office with $4.3 million, surprisingly, and 59% positive on Rotten Tomatoes, Miracle on 34th Street.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I still haven't seen this one myself. I've seen the original.
Okay, seen the original. Yeah, I don't want to see a remake of Miracle on 34th Street. I was against it at the time. I don't have any sort of like principled stand against remakes, but the first one is so just indelibly wonderful that I don't want to see a remake. I have no interest in it.
I mean, I've talked to numerous people who say that they think this one's better than the original. I don't know.
That's all well and good,
Yeah.
but no.
I'm not a super duper huge fan of the first one. I don't have anything against it, but it's not really like a part of my life really, because my mom wouldn't let me watch it as a kid. Because
Please peel that onion for me. Let me know why.
because it starts with the premise that Santa Claus, like it's built on the premise that Santa Claus does not exist, right?
Okay.
You eventually get to Santa Claus does exist, but you have to start with all of the adults saying, this is ridiculous. Why do you think that Santa Claus exists, right? So that reality that it creates when applied to our world, since obviously, you know, even though I'm not smart enough to realize that there is no Santa Claus, I am smart enough to realize that this is a fictional story. So there's that implies that there's no Santa Claus. So she didn't want me to see that because she didn't want to plant that seed in my head.
Okay. I mean, I can't. I don't disrespect that line of thought. I get that. I don't know that I go along because, again, like you said, with the ending, you know, like I think it makes the ending that much better because it's like, oh no, I was right all along, sort of thing. So, yeah. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird that this movie came out just a week after the Santa Claus, and while the Santa Claus obviously was the much bigger movie and is considered to be, you know, somewhat of a classic. I mean, this movie is considered to be a classic now too. The remake?
Probably more so than the Santa Claus.
Wait, the remake of Miracle on 34th Street?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. I mean, I can just tell you from, you know, personal experience that the requests that theaters receive to show this movie are almost as much as the original. So,
oh, maybe I do need to see it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Anyway, another classic came out this week, came in at number 4 at the box office. And this is shocking to me. I mean, like, just the idea that Miracle on 34th Street only made $4 million. Like, that blows my mind.
Yeah.
Because we're still talking about that movie now. But anyway, number 4 at the box office was $7.9 million and 72% positive on Rotten Tomatoes. Leon. So
it was called The Professional when it was released here in 1994.
That's true. But now it's called Leon.
Well, Leon was the name of the European cut or whatever that we had to wait an interminably long time, or interminably, however you want to pronounce the word, long time to get that European cut delivered unto us.
Yeah, but now that it's here, I mean, that's all that we watch, right? I mean, I've never seen the original cut.
I saw the original cut. The original Professional was actually this is the odd symbiotic relationship that Star Trek Generations and The Professional have for me. Is the week that Star Trek Generations comes out, I see Star Trek Generations. I see it with a group of friends. And among this group of friends is an acquaintance. I won't mention her name because she, you know, like, I don't know. I don't like dropping people's names when they don't, you know, well, whatever. Except for my friend Joey, who I don't mind dragging at any point. But was a girl to whom I had taken an interest. And after Star Trek Generations, I was hanging with my buddy Mike, who had dated her briefly. And I said, well, I really kind of dig her. You know, I'm thinking about going up and asking her out. And he's like, yeah, do it. It's like, okay. So I walked up, you know, from his dorm room to her dorm room, like 2 floors up. And I'm like, hey, you know, you want to go out and see a movie next week? Yes. So right after Star Trek Generations, I wound up going out on a date with her. And what's the movie I take her to go see? The Professional.
Well,
screw
good.
Romantic movies. No. If you're going to be in a relationship with me, you're going to know what you're getting into from the start. And she really enjoyed The Professional, as did I.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw it probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 years after it came out. And I watched the director's cut, and, you know, I thought it was really good too. I didn't have a chance to rewatch it for this, which I want to do. I feel like I need to watch it before the end of the year for my top 10. I don't know if it'll make it on there, but I feel like I need to see it again just to see.
It's an excellent film. I didn't have a chance to rewatch it, but I have the movie practically committed to memory.
Yeah.
There was a time, especially after I got my hands on the European cut, where I would watch it every couple of months just
Yeah.
because I think it's an incredible film. I really do. I think it's so. I mean, Natalie Portman gives such a performance, and even everybody down to Danny Aiello, and I love Gary Oldman's performance in it as the crooked cop is so clever, especially when he has his whole speech when he's slaughtering the family, and he starts talking with the guy, and he starts talking about, what are you a fan of Mozart? Or Mozart. I mean, he's a little light for this. He's like talking about how he likes Beethoven and everything like that. In retrospect, it's like, that's kind of cute. So, because he played Beethoven in Immortal Beloved. So,
okay, yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, no, it's really good, and you're right about the performances being great and everything. The action was really good, and Jean Reno, Natalie Portman. I mean, this was her big break in a lot of ways, and for years they were talking about doing a sequel in some way or another. And I mean, the most intriguing idea that I had heard was that, Natalie Portman, as an adult is now a cleaner herself, that kind of thing. I kind of like that idea, but they never did it. So what can you do?
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
This is a movie where I could see an argument for a sequel, but I love the way that it ends so much. I love it's sort of like Terminator 2. Never called for a sequel, never needed a sequel, and the open-ended way that it goes is perfectly fine. But if anybody listening has not seen The Professional, yes, we both recommend the director's cut, Leon The Professional, more highly, but The Professional is, I'd consider it required viewing from the 1990s.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so number one at the box office with $35.8 million and 47% positive on Rotten Tomatoes, Star Trek Generations.
Yep.
So this was the movie that got me to start going to the theater to see movies. I mean, I had just become a Star Trek fan on Christmas Day 1992. And, a lot of these things were kind of like first time things for me. Like, even though I quickly watched all of the movies and I watched all of the shows, it's like, oh, there's a new series starting, Voyager. Oh, there's a new series ending. Like, I've never seen a series finale before. Well, no one else had either, really. That there's a new movie on the big screen. I've never seen Star Trek on the big screen before. What's that like? So I went on the special Thursday night sneak preview at the Hillside Square Theater. There's two theaters right across the street from each other, Hillside Square and Hillside Mall. Unfortunately, they're now both churches, but whatever. At the time, you could go see basically everything that you wanted to, like right across the street from each other, right? Mm-hmm. And the Hillside Square was the better of the two. It like you could see things in 70 millimeter there and stuff like that. The Hillside Mall was like this teeny tiny thing across the street, and it was weird. And now they're both gone. But at the time, this is where we went to see Star Trek Generations, and it was something that I had never experienced before, seeing something on the big screen, like that. And opening night, counting down the days, I went with my Uncle Gene and my cousin Alex, and it was seeing Star Trek with a crowd of appreciative people. It was something cool. It changed my life in a lot of ways. I saw the movie in the theater 4 times. It blew me away. Surely my opinion of it was inflated by the fact that this was all brand new to me, but I did really, really love it. And I still really love it, even though I can see its flaws, but I do think that it is a good movie. But I did rewatch this movie at exactly 7 p.m. on, November 17th, which is when I had seen it just for, I wanted to go because I always drive past the Hillside Square theater thing. It's not anymore. But the building is still there, and they've still got like a huge parking lot and everything. And I wanted to go and just like, look at it and stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be like creepy. I didn't want to like freak people out. I'm like, it's a Sunday, so there's probably actually going to be people there. I don't know. But yeah, it was it was it was a fun day. Anyway. Yeah. So did you see this in the theater?
I did. Of course I did. I was, huge Star Trek The Next Generation fan. All my friends that previously mentioned Calverton movie theater, Center Park, that they had
Is
two.
that one gone now too or not?
No, I think it's still around. You found it for me. You found the listing for me.
Yeah.
I don't live anywhere near it, so I haven't done the real homework, but I'm fairly certain it'd still be around. But yes, it was showing in their two big theaters, and my friend Joey saw the showing either before me or after. Like he was in, like we were offset by 1 hour, sort of thing. I think he started the showing an hour after me. And so I met up with him afterward, sort of thing, with my group of friends. And Joey always hated that group of friends, and that group of friends always hated Joey. And it was always so much fun because why do I always have to have one foot in two worlds? Why? Why can't I just have everybody get along, Mike? I don't know.
That's how it is with everyone, right?
I guess.
I mean, I think everybody has that. They have like the one friend who they like, but everybody else hates.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, not everybody hated him, but there was one guy in that group. His name was Steve, and boy, did they hate each other. I mean, it got to the point where we just couldn't, it wasn't possible anymore. If Steve was going to be there, Joey was not, and vice versa. But yeah, and I remember liking it. I remember to a person, everybody's reaction was All Good Things was better. We all liked All Good Things more. I remember while watching the movie for the first time, the two shots saying, "Oh, that's from Star Trek 6."
Yeah.
And then reading a thing where like Rick Berman was like, "This is, Star Trek movies always reuse special effects shots from previous movies, and we only reuse 2, and I defy anybody to know which ones they were." And I was like, "Oh no, I spotted them. Come on, dude."
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. I mean, yeah.
But I remember that there were reports of people applauding when the dish section of the Enterprise D crash landed because the effects were so good, sort of thing. And I remember that happened in my showing. And I remember thinking at the time, wow, that's really well done. It's miniature work and stuff like that. But I was like, wow, that looked really cool. And I remember Joey coming out and saying, "The idiots were all applauding when the dish section crashed." I was like, well, no, they weren't applauding that it crashed. They were applauding because it just looked really cool. He's like, "That's stupid." I was like, no, people were appreciating art. Like, that's fine. Like, they're not happy that it crashed. And it was a whole thing, this whole argument. Because that happens, because why not? But yeah, I rewatched it for this. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's, I'm just stealing your bit now.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
I think there are pacing problems with it. I think that it's obvious. They touted it at the time, but I think that there are, looking at it through the lens of longtime fans, sort of nonsense. They touted the fact that they weren't original series fans, and I think that their treatment of Kirk shows that. I remember reading in Shatner's Star Trek Memories book. There was an epilogue where he was like, "Oh wait, they're going to reshoot the ending. Maybe Captain Kirk isn't going to die after all." And like, knowing the way that they originally killed him was he just jumped down and Soren shot him in the back. Mm-hmm. The ending they reshot, much stronger. Still not great. Especially because Kirk was free climbing Yosemite in Star Trek V. He would not have been scared of a little bridge jump like that at all. But, there are certain things where he's like, "Oh, this is, when I was going to tell Antonia," I was like, what Carol Marcus would be a much better reference at this point, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I think that as looking at it as a non-fan, the Data subplot really detracts from a lot of what they're doing with the other stuff. The whole stuff with, Picard's brother and nephew dying is really well handled. There's some beautiful photography. There's some great lines, time is the fire in which we burn, all of that stuff. But there's just sort of like a clumsiness to the way some of this is handled that, it's not one that I really particularly like. I go back to it, but it's sort of like the motion picture where it's like I don't really enjoy it, but I don't hate it. And it's like, yeah, sure, I'll rewatch it with heck, sort of thing.
Yeah, and the writers have talked about that. The issue of like, they were given like a list of things that they had to do. Like, you have to kill Kirk. You have to have Picard and Kirk together. You have to have the subplot with Data. You have to have the Enterprise blow up. You have to have a Khan style villain. And it's like, okay, well, now we need to create a story which it's almost like, I don't know.
It's like the Iron Chef. Here are your ingredients. Make something great.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, there's problems with that. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they had like a competing script, which was also commissioned, that's weird too, but whatever.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong about this, but my memory is that they wanted Nimoy originally. And Nimoy said, totally I want to rewrite this. And they said, no, this is our script. And Nimoy said that I'm not doing it. And then production got delayed because of the earthquake.
That could be, I don't know about the production being delayed, but yeah, they wanted Nimoy to direct. Well, they wanted Nimoy to be in it. And Nimoy was like, if I'm going to be in it, I want to direct it. And they said, fine, that's great. And then he said, well, I'm not going to direct this script. I would want to rewrite it. And they were like, well, we don't have time for that. So no, you can't do it. And he's like, well, then fine. I'm not going to direct it and I'm not going to be in it. And that's when, I think they got rid of Bones too, essentially, and just picked two random people. But you can totally tell that those three characters were supposed to be Kirk, Spock, and Bones. I mean, Chekhov bringing a bunch of people down to sickbay.
Yeah.
And there's even that line from Scotty, which it plays differently when he says it, but it's such a Spock line where he's like, Captain, is there something wrong with your chair?
Yeah.
I mean, just like you can totally tell that that's what they were doing there, but whatever. It is what it is.
But I mean, there's some good part. I think anytime, but I'm biased, of course, because I'm a fan of his style. But anytime Shatner's on screen, the movie comes alive because he's so good at being him in front of the camera that it's like it's a warm salve. It's like, oh, okay, all right, yeah. My old buddy's here. Okay, cool, we can hang out, sort of thing. Yeah. And then when Stewart's on screen, it's like, oh, the actor is here. Yes. Yeah. All right. We're going to get some acting going on here. The sort of thing. So,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I still like it. I still think it's really good, but I do see the flaws now with time.
Yeah.
So,
and it's fine to let your heart win out, man. Isn't that the point of Star Trek? That's not all about logic. That it's also about your heart.
I guess that's what it is.
It is.
I don't know.
It is.
I don't know. Oh, well, what can you do? All right. So now we're into Thanksgiving week. November 23rd, which is a Wednesday, is when most of these movies came out, although there was one movie which came out on November 25th. So starting up with something that I couldn't find any box office info on, but has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, Three Colors Red.
Yeah, which ties into, what was it, Three Colors White and Three Colors Blue. And
yeah.
There
was blue, white, and red. Each one features like a different set of characters. They're independent stories, but you'll see characters from one in another and that sort of thing. So I watched the other two, and of course I was going to watch this one too. This is the one which is considered to be like the masterpiece. So I had to. Did you watch it?
No, I did not.
Okay. It's good. It's I don't think it's the best of the trilogy. I would put it in the middle. I think blue is the best. I think most people would go red, blue, white. I go blue, red, white. But It's a movie. It's about like this woman who she's a student and she's like a model, and she's got a boyfriend who's traveling for business all around Europe, and he's all suspicious of her cheating on him, but she really loves him, and she hits a dog and takes the dog to the owner, who has absolutely no interest, and it turns out that the owner is this guy who basically lives by himself and has some sort of weird thing going on where he's able to tap into his neighbors' phone lines and listen to their phone conversations. And he does this, I guess, just out of loneliness. And she like befriends him, and it sort of becomes this whole thing of like this ethical debate and all this other stuff, and why people do these things, and all that stuff. And it's good. I don't think it's the masterpiece that people think that it is. I do find it to be sort of an interesting character study. I think maybe they go a little bit crazy with the red imagery. Like, I mean, they did that with the blue and the white, but maybe there's just more natural blue and white in the world, and it doesn't really seem heavy-handed. But like with this one, like every single scene, like everything is red. It's pretty crazy. But
well, red would be more jarring and more noticeable anyway, because it provokes that sort of primal reaction. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's why, like, they've said that in retrospect they never should have made red lights red or brake lights red, because that contributes to people getting angry and agitated in traffic. Because red just registers with you like that. Sorry for that color theory detour.
No. It's interesting for sure. But yeah, I mean, the thing is decent, but then it ends, and I don't know. I need to go back and watch the other two, but the ending for this movie is super weird and feels super out of place and super pretentious. But aside from that, it's pretty good.
Wait, a super pretentious ending in a French film? Go on,
Yeah, I know,
Mike.
right?
What are you talking about? Come on.
Yeah. So, yeah. But there were some other movies that came out this week. Number 16 at the box office with $0.1 million and 74% on Rotten Tomatoes, Mrs. Parker and the Vicious Circle.
Which I
See this?
wanted to see. I wanted to see
Yeah.
back then, and I wanted to see now, but I was not able to get to it. No.
It looked cool, directed by Alan Rudolph and
Yeah.
produced by Robert Altman, and it looked cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Robert Altman, he produced a lot of Alan Rudolph movies, and people, because Rudolph used to be his assistant, and Altman's like, yeah, I'm more interested in seeing what he has to say than I am in what I have to say. So there you go.
As much as I'm not exactly a huge, a huge fan of Altman, like in terms of his work or anything, his attitude has always been something that's always stood out. Like he's always, like the artists who are truly supportive of other artists is always it's always so nice. It's you find out all the work that Scorsese does or Coppola does or Lucas does to support other artists, and it's like Altman's in that camp too, where it's like I want to help and elevate other people, get their voices out there. I like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Number 11 at the box office with $3.8 million and 21% on Rotten Tomatoes, The Pagemaster,
Yes, The Pagemaster.
starring Macaulay Culkin.
Mm-hmm. And Christopher
And then-
Lloyd.
Yeah, and it's like live action and animation.
Yeah.
Live action directed by Joe Johnston.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Did you
Sure.
watch this?
I did.
Had you seen it before?
Oh, no.
No.
I watched it for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
The way I would phrase it is that it has all the verve of a library PSA and half of the charm. I don't know who the intended audience was, or if there was an intended audience, but it is like getting a lecture from your father about how those darn kids need to get out there and read more books. And when he was a kid, he didn't need television. He just read books, and that taught him to be adventurous. And it's like, It's seriously, it's like just one of those lectures where it's like, I get it. You read Jules Verne. Fine. I don't care. You know, I want to be generous to it and be like, oh, well, you know, it's a nice mess. No, this is a clumsy attempt to try to challenge Disney's animation dominance. And it just ain't happening with this. It's, oof, no, this is a turkey. Hey, you know what? Happy Thanksgiving. This one's a turkey. There you go. Print it.
Yeah. I remember it coming out because the only reason, and I don't know why I remember this and whatever, but on my third viewing of Star Trek Generations, which was on Black Friday, I went with my mom to see it at Yorktown because they had a THX cinema.
Ooh.
And I'm like, this is going to be amazing, right?
Yeah.
Another cinema, which is gone. What's with all these cinemas closing? Well, I mean, they tore that one down and built a new one, which was like kind of cookie cuttery. But it's like, this wasn't. Why do these theaters have to close? I'm sick and tired of theaters closing.
Well, it's the same reason. Listen, okay, fine. I'll put on my old man hat and start yelling at a cloud here. It's the same reason that, like, independent bookstores and coffee stores are going away because everybody wants a Starbucks and a Barnes and Noble. It's like, go screw. I want the character. I want the flavor of the town.
Yeah. No, it's true. Anyway,
Yeah.
and that's what the thing. I think about like. So I saw Generations at Hillside Square.
Yeah.
And the Yorktown, and then I saw the First Contact at Oakbrook, and then I saw the next one at the New Yorktown, but like Oakbrook is gone. Well, now there's a new one there, but they tore the one that I saw it at down and built a new thing, and like 10 years later, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like all these theaters that I saw all the Star Trek movies at are all gone now. So
Star Trek kills theaters. There's the conclusion.
yeah, everybody just and then they come out on CBS All Access and everybody just goes home and watches them.
There you go.
But now Star Trek is back. Noah Hawley, hey, right?
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Anyway, so the only reason why I remember the Pagemaster is because when I was seeing that, there was like a group of kids, like little kids that were like there watching Star Trek, and they were like sitting in the front of the theater, and there were like 3 like 20-year-olds sitting behind us, and one of them was like, "What's with all these kids? What are all these kids doing here watching Star Trek? Shouldn't they be watching the Pagemaster?" Grumpy
No.
20-year-olds.
No, I'm glad that those kids were watching Star Trek instead.
Yeah, me too. Anyway, so next up, number 5 at the box office with $9.6 million and a very impressive 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. A low down dirty shame.
Yeah.
This is a Keenan Ivory Wayans movie.
Yeah, which is why I almost watched it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the trailer and I'm like, this doesn't look bad.
Yeah.
It doesn't look 0% bad, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a private detective named Shame.
Yeah.
I mean,
I remember I wanted to see it back when it got released too.
It looks like it could be okay.
Yeah.
Certainly looks better than most Keenan Ivory Wayans movies.
I can promise you it's better than the Pagemaster.
There you go.
I can't promise that, but I'm pretty sure that I would have preferred seeing that instead of the Pagemaster.
I'm pretty sure it's better than the number 4 movie for the week.
Which was?
Well, it made $11.5 million and had 36% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
Junior.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I saw this movie, I don't know, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I mean, I always kind of wanted to because of Ivan Reitman directing it.
Yeah.
But like we were like wrapping up our show Commentary Track Stars and doing commentaries for various movies. And we were inviting all of our guests back and letting them pick the movies.
Yeah.
And this one jerk picked Junior.
Uh-huh.
It was bad.
I had never seen it before. I watched it.
Did you
for
watch it
this.
for this?
Oh, you know I did. I watched it for this goddamn show, Mike.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what
It's
did you think?
garbage. It is garbage. It's terrible. It is. Oh, wow. I really think the title should have just been, and it, like with question marks and exclamation points, a pregnant Terminator, because that's the whole premise.
Yep.
Yep. And
How did they get Emma Thompson to be in this movie?
I don't know. Yeah, you know what? Maybe it's because she had just broken up with Branagh and he was coming out with a Frankenstein. She was like, "Fine, I could do a stupid movie too." Yeah, hers was dumber, but I can say that this has made me terrified with the prospect of going back and rewatching Twins, because I saw Twins in the movie theater. I was much younger, and I remember thinking Twins was funny. I didn't really like the ending. It was sort of clunky and everything, but like, this is the crew that brought you Twins, right?
Yeah.
It's got to work, okay? It's got to at least be all right. Nope. It
the
isn't.
premise is it's a lot to overcome.
Yes, it is. It really is. And even Frank Langella, being his most Frank Langella-ish, cannot help this movie. Mm-hmm. And that's saying something, because I love Frank Langella. Every time I see him on screen, I'm like, oh, yeah, Frank Langella, cool. I love the guy. I think he's terrific. I went out of my way and saw one of the worst shows I've ever seen on stage because Frank Langella was in it. And it was the musical. Remember that musical version of A Christmas Carol with Kelsey Grammer that was on TV?
No, not really.
Well, it's terrible. And I saw the terrible stage version of it, but when Frank Langella was in it. Yeah. But so all that just to say, not even he could help this. And it's this movie's bad. It's really, really. I would honestly love to sit down with somebody who like loved this movie, not in an aggressive way, not in an adversarial way, but because I really want to try to understand what they saw that I didn't, because I saw nothing really of value in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's 1 in 3 critics liked it. It's weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was one more movie that came out this week on the Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ever do that. Don't ever release a movie the day after Thanksgiving, because it just throws movie schedules into chaos, okay? Just don't do it.
Bad plan.
Anyway, Camilla, which I don't know how much it made, but it got 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. It stars Bridget Fonda as like a woman who hangs out with an older woman, and the two of them go on a road trip and find themselves together or something. It doesn't look good. Let me put it to you this way. I watched the trailer, and my wife was sitting here watching all these trailers with me, and I got to the end of the trailer, and I was thinking, that looks terrible. And my wife says, that might be good. That kind of looks like my kind of movie. And I'm like, really? And she said, well, I kind of dozed off in the middle of it, but like, there you go.
Yeah, that's a ringing endorsement.
Yep. So
movies to doze by.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Trailers to doze by.
Trailers to doze by.
So, I mean, I would say, out of all these, the only two that I saw, were Junior and Three Colors Red, but I would recommend Three Colors Red. What would you recommend for the week?
Anything but Junior or the Pagemaster.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Three Colors Red it is.
Yeah. You know what? Default victory. I'll give it to Red. Go for it.
All right. So that's it for this month. And next week, December 2nd, there are 3 movies: Cobb, Tom and Viv, and Trapped in Paradise.
Mm-hmm.
So we will take a look at those next time. But until then, John, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me being thankful for all of the movies that are helping reinforce my preconceived notions of what I like and dislike. You can find me as Kessel Junkie on Twitter and Letterboxd. And you can find me actually here on the network co-hosting a Star Wars podcast of a different type called Aggressive Negotiations. And this week we are having our annual Thanks Gungan episode. So check that out.
Thanks. Okay.
Thanks,
cool.
Gungan. It's our 3rd annual Thanks, Gungan. It's where
cool.
we reflect and we give thanks for everything that has been going well and that we've enjoyed in the Star Wars franchise over the last year. Things that are positive and terrific, and that we really, really are grateful that they have produced and released, like The Mandalorian. So when you're living by your own code, Mike, online, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at Mumbles3K, and you can also find me on Trek.fm doing a show called Tracks on the Line, where we do audio commentaries for Star Trek Picard episodes, and Tracks from the Edge, where we do audio commentaries for Star Trek Discovery episodes. And you can find me on filmdamagepod.com doing a show called Film Damage. We just released an episode from our commentary Track Stars Vault with our Charlie's Angels commentary with some secret origin stuff for Max and myself. So check that out. And very, very soon, you'll be able to find me on Talk Film Society doing a show called Bayhem, where we take a look at all of Michael Bay's movies.
Nice.
So that's it for November. We will be back next week with some more movies to discuss. But until then, be kind, rewind.
And happy Thanksgiving.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.